So this movie has a hell of a lot of names. It is known as HELLMAN here in the UK, Guardian of the Realm in the States, Satanic Slaughter in Germany, and VIRAGO in other countries. So this is directed by Ted Smith, a 2004 movie, and is kind of similar in a lot of ways to the Buffy the Vampire TV show. And we'll discuss a little bit about this. So what's the plot? Well, it focuses on two young demon hunters. Now, in this world of this universe, demon hunting tends to be somewhat of a profession. In fact, there's almost a whole government agency detailed to deal with these kind of demonic openings up from hell as they kind of come through from Earth. And demons will pop up from time to time, and then we've got this kind of like underground hunting sort of network, which seems to be fairly kind of well funded and, you know, well kind of teched out and everything to kind of deal with these and kill the demons, send them back to hell. However, we seem to have a situation where there is a greater demon that may well already be on Earth and wanting to bring about hell upon the Earth itself, and it's up to two young demon hunters to try and thwart those plans. What'll happen? Well, you'll just have to watch the movie to find out. So first of all, let's discuss what works. So Ted Smith, actually, this is his only directing of credit, to be honest, but his background primarily is in special effects and kind of makeup and stuff like that. And you can tell because there is a lot of kind of practical monster makeup effects here with kind of varying degrees of how good it looks, I won't lie, but there is a lot here of, if you like practical makeup, then there's a lot here to enjoy. But I'll make the comparison to the Buffy the Vampire TV shows because it has that kind of similar vibe. The kind of the monsters are, you know, just people with kind of prosthetics on lumpy heads and contacts, things like that. A lot of the kind of the having to deal with these creatures. There's a lot of kung fu a lot of the time, and it just has that sort of that TV sheen to it. You know, our demons are all into kind of like latex and things like that, and it's all very kind of post-Matrix and about what looks cool and all of this. So it definitely has that Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of aesthetic to it in a lot of ways, but also influenced by movies like kind of like The Matrix and probably Blade. In fact, this movie actually does reference a number of other films, including Ghostbusters. They actually mention Ivo Shandor, who of course was a big feature of the original Ghostbusters movie and the sequel video game. So let's talk about, you know, the makeup is good. I quite like the makeup. It's kind of fun. There's lots of different types of demons, and I quite like the kind of the variety. We have a big hulking, in fact, this guy here on the front here, they call it HELLMAN, but he's really just a henchman, to be honest. And they never actually called him HELLMAN, but there you go. But there's some quite cool kind of practical effects here. There's also some relatively well choreographed kind of action sequences. Lots of kind of props. We have all these kind of like these toys that the hunters kind of use, and it's quite fun. And it feels like a kind of a TV pilot. I don't know if it was, because it seems a little bit too, as I say, a bit too graphic to maybe to be a TV pilot. But you know, you have all this kind of this team, and the angry captain at the base. We have the kind of the lady who helps him with the tech stuff over the kind of the phone and things like this. But it's quite fun. I quite like the world that this kind of movie kind of sets up. But it's quite a fun, admittedly cheesy environment. I really liked our female protagonist in this, who is kind of a character called Alex, and she's a demon hunter from another city who comes to Los Angeles where this is set. Her character is quite sassy and doesn't always fall into the traps that kind of you would expect a blonde pretty girl to be in these sort of movies, and she quite holds her own in regards to the sass. I also like the fact that we don't really have any type of romantic interest between the two of them, which would have been a typical thing to kind of set up. They just kind of work colleagues, and they kind of get on with their job, which I did quite appreciate here. it's, you know, it's actually quite a long film, which we'll come on to, but nonetheless, I still think it's relatively well paced and is punctuated with a variety of kind of action sequences and stuff like that as kind of the movie goes on. And although I gotta say, some of the kind of the set design and costuming is incredibly cheesy, it's kind of fun cheesy, if that makes sense. But let's talk about what doesn't work. This movie is too long. It's nearly 2 hours long. It way didn't need to be, you know, this kind of length of time. In actual fact, there are long scenes here and kind of like subplots and even B characters that just simply could have been cut out to make this a lot more of a kind of a leaner running time. I didn't feel our bad guys plot got kind of really all of that traction until right towards the end of the movie. I felt this kind of film was treading on water a little bit, a bit too long, especially considering the running time, before we really even know what the actual main plot is, to be honest with you, in regards to Virago, who is this kind of the big bad demon at the end of it, if I'm being honest. As much as I like some of the practical makeup here, it's quite fun, there are some elements that really do look bad, primarily some wigs. This Ted Smith can do, you know, good practical makeup, but boy, can he not do a good wig. Let's just say that. There's some really ridiculous kind of wigs in this movie, but that really kind of stand out and they're just blah. The movie has just this TV sheen to it, where it just seems like an episode of TV. You know, down to the kind of the camera angles, very little use of wide angle shots, things like this. Just the kind of the quality of the picture, the dialogue, it all seems very kind of like fantasy sort of TV, the sort of thing that you would have on the kind of the Sci-Fi Channel. In fact, there used to be a TV show called Special Unit 1, I think it was called, and that kind of reminds me of this in a lot of ways. Overall, it's a fun, cheesy movie, not too seriously. There's plenty of kind of like fun Buffy-esque style kind of demons. If you do like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you may want to check this one out because it almost seems like a, you know, it doesn't have quite the characterization that the Buffy series does, but nonetheless, it's a similar aesthetic in a lot of ways. I give it a 5 out of 10, this one. I'm tempted to give it a little lower because it is a little cheesy, to be honest with you. But I still think it's quite fun. It's certainly like a guilty pleasure style film, not to be taken seriously. It's hokey. You can poke holes in the plot, but I kind of still quite like the characters to a point. And I did enjoy a lot of these kind of variety of kind of practical makeup effects, despite the fact that a lot of the set design and these things that look like it's more of a music video from a heavy metal band. So I'm going to go with a 5 out of 10. I do think it's kind of fun in a silly, cheesy TV type way. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.